Yeah, good training, boys. Good training. Go in the showers, and then we'll meet up at the pub and do a bit of a scouting mission here on Sparta Prague. Okay, I'm just going to check in with the HK manager and just check in, make sure he's taking things seriously. Okay, I really hope he is.
Hello.
Luna, hey, it's Shaun from Volsungur here. Is it okay if we talk?
Yes, go on.
Awesome. Look, I was just checking in to make sure that you're actually going to take the Conference League qualifying a bit seriously this year.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you say that, but you're a bit disappointing last year. I know you had a tough draw, but you've been a little bit of a letdown since you made the group stages of the Champions League a few seasons ago. I think it's fair to say. I just want to make sure that we're not the only ones who are trying to carry the entire nation here.
Piss off.
Hello? I wasn't being patronising, I swear. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 133 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we have the third qualifying round for this season's Champions League. We take on Sparta Prague of the Czech Republic. We've also got HK and Breidablik down in Conference League qualifying as well, so we'll check in on those guys while we get through the process of today's episode. So if you are looking forward to it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But we come into this one off the back of a big episode yesterday. We did our transfer business, our squad run through, as well as play the second qualifying round against Cluj from Romania. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it in the top right corner. We also suffered a few injuries as well. We'll give an update on that in a minute. But today's opposition for us are Sparta Prague from the Czech Republic, a decent side with 3.5-star reputation. But as I said a few times in yesterday's episode, coming out of the semi-finals of the Champions League last season, you would like to think, even with injuries in mind, we can get through this one pretty comfortably and keep our march towards the group stage of the Champions League going and down in the Conference League. We also have two Icelandic teams in the third round of qualifying for that tournament. Breidablik take on Slovan Bratislava of Slovakia, so that looks like a tough tie for those guys. I think it is fair to say, down towards the bottom of the screen. Now we'll scroll down a little bit and get it sort of in the lower to middle half. Tyrol of Austria are the opposition for HK, making their first appearance in European qualifying this season. Hopefully they can get into the group stages of this competition after they did have a little bit of a tough draw last season when they did meet Athletic Club Bilbao in the playoff to make the group stages of the Conference League. So that's what all the Icelandic action does look like going in to this third qualifying round. Since yesterday's episode, we have just played the one game domestically. We picked up a 3-0 win away against Keflavik with our rotation team. Mariano, the young winger Gardason, as well as young striker Hercules Delfino picked up the goals. And what that means for the league table, we are still yet to drop a point. 13 wins from 13. We are 5 points clear of HK. They are having a very, very good season. Really look like our only challengers at this stage if they can continue to pick up the points. And a big gap already back to the likes of Bilkia, KA and Breidablik in those remaining European qualification places. But as I said earlier, we do have some injury concerns going into these games in today's episode, coming off the back of yesterday's one. Jonata and Lee Van Tam picked up pretty serious injuries in yesterday's episode, and that means they are going to be missing for today, as well as potentially a little bit of a Champions League playoff or Europa League playoff, depending what does happen in today's episode. So neither of those players are going to be featuring in these two games that we might have coming up against Sparta Prague today. Also, Paul Stein-Arneson has some pulled ankle ligaments. He's not quite as serious, only on an orange injury, but he will also be pushing it to be involved. Not that he really would have been on the bench for us anyway, but that would have been a nice little extra option should we have needed him. So those are our injury concerns going into this one. What that means for our first team with no Jonata, that's the big miss, is that Adam Saki, our new signing on a loan to buy in about a year's time, the young Moroccan striker who we did bring in from Raja Casablanca, he is going to be starting for us in this Champions League game. On the bench, young Hercules Delfino is our backup option. Fabio Mariano we would probably usually use as our backup option, but he is on a heavy workload for this first game anyway. So young Hercules Delfino, the backup there to Adam Saki. So two quite new players to the club are going to be our go-tos here for our striking options in this first leg at home against Sparta Prague. And at right back, not quite as much of a changer player who's been around for a little bit longer. Ian Carlo does come in for Levan Tam. That means that Stamatas Chatzakis makes his way onto the bench. You'll also notice a few interesting faces on the bench as well. As I said earlier, we've just rotated things a little bit down there to make sure no players on a heavy workload are going to pick up injuries if we do need to use them. So that's why you see the likes of some homegrown players there in Valdemar Songarasons there, because Frederick Larsen is still away at the Olympics with Denmark, and Patrick Nygaard because Fabio Mariano is also on a heavy workload. So a bit of an interesting looking bench for us today, but hopefully these players that we have picked can get us off to a good start here in the home league, give us a nice comfy scoreline to take to the Czech Republic for that second leg, and we'll come back shortly from the Laugaras Villa and hopefully keep our good form going in these Champions League qualifiers. And we do have a highlight immediately from the kickoff here in this home league. One other change I did forget to mention somehow. Thiago Polo comes into the starting lineup with Elias Anderson also being on a heavy workload just for this first league. We'll see how he gets on there alongside Ali Ramadan, our partnership from last season. That should be a good one that we can rely on, but we do get possession back shortly off the back of that kickoff there for Sparta Prague, albeit try and play a ball out there towards Chaka Traore's wing, and it is Sparta Prague back in position here in the mainly red. We are in our green home uniform. As I said yesterday, the player to look out for here is probably Petr Wozniak. There's a chance for our opposition towards the far post there, but thankfully a tight angle. Will Lervik is able to make a save, but maybe this is going to be a little bit tighter than what we faced yesterday in Cluj of Romania. Dumbia deals with that corner and is still 0-0 after only a few minutes. And up to the 18-minute mark, we do have our next highlight, starting to assert a little bit of dominance stats-wise on this game. So hopefully we can get a highlight to show for that now and maybe take the lead here inside the first 20 minutes. Nicholas Zimmerman makes his way towards the edge of the box. It's a good ball in there for Adam Saki, already on a yellow card. Big chance, puts it over the bar. Still 0-0 just before the 20-minute mark. And we make our way forward now to the 27-minute mark. It does look like we are about to have a free kick here right on the left-hand side. Chaka Traore puts that towards the far post. It does fall to Kalen Rakasan, but unfortunately he is offside off of the initial chance there from Thiago Polo. In fact, that is not the case. It was Polo who was offside, so he put the ball in the back of the net, but it won't count. Still 0-0 at the half-hour mark. And that is half-time in the first leg of this third qualifying round of the Champions League. We are pretty dominant stats-wise, but no goals yet. That's a little bit concerning in our home league, so we'll tell the boys we're not too happy and hopefully get a response in the second half. And only a few minutes into the second half, we do have our first highlight here. It is a free kick for Sparta Prague as they look to play out from their defence here, and they get this into our opposition half, but thankfully Kenny Boreal is there to tidy things up, and we start to hopefully get on the attack here and can try and open the scoring, because that first half was not too great. Really only one good chance there when you consider the offside. That was to Adam Saki, but he did put that over the crossbar with his head. But we look like we're getting a bit of possession here to start off the second half, and Ian Carlo makes his way down our right-hand side, plays that back to Lissana Dumbia, the highest rated player at the club. Nice ball in there from Ian Carlo. Saki misses it, but Chaka Traore is there at the far post. He puts that away, and we do have our opening goal, and it did take a little bit of a pep talk there at halftime to get it. Nice ball in there from Ian Carlo. The defence, I think, was a little bit more focused on Saki there. Chaka Traore given a little bit too much space at the far post, puts that away, and early in the second half it is 1-0 Volsungur. And just shy of the hour mark, we do have our next highlight is a throw right around the halfway line in our favour on our left-hand side. Thiago Polo is just controlling possession here, waiting for something to happen, and Rakasan now plays it up to Chaka Traore, the goal scorer, down our left-hand side. Back in there for Kalen Rakasan, who had some game in the first league yesterday back in Romania against his former club. Kenny Boreal tries to put a ball there into the mixer. The first attempt's blocked, but he does get that back, and now it's a ball towards the far post here. Nicholas Zimmerman just given a little bit of space here on the edge of the box. Ian Carlo plays that back in for Zimmerman. Some great short passing, and Lissana Dumbia tucks that away just inside this near post, and we have come out of the sheds at halftime in some pretty good form, it has to be said, and that is exactly what we were after, because as I said at halftime, that first half wasn't too great, but that's a well-worked goal there to our French midfielder, to make it 2-0 at the hour mark. And up to the 69-minute mark, it's a nice time for us here to make our first few substitutions. Kalen Rakasan on a red heart. Also, Nicholas Zimmerman, one of few players who came into this game in our starting 11 on a heavy workload. So Patrick Nygaard will come on for him. And I think our young homegrown talent, Valdemarsson, can come on for Kalen Rakasan for the last 20 minutes as we do still hold a 2-0 lead. And only a few minutes off the back of those first few substitutions, we are going to make our last one here. Lasana Doumbia is now down to a red heart. Our only midfield option on the bench is Hercules Delfino. We might switch him around there with Valdemarsson and see what happens in these last 15 minutes. And we go to the 81-minute mark for our next highlight. It is a corner here in our favour, which Chaka Traore is going to put in the mixer. It does go there to Basaroge. Tiago Polo was standing off there, which is interesting. He should usually be our aerial threat there from set piece, but he puts that one in the back of the net with his feet. So was not expecting that, but nonetheless, that is what we are after, and we do grab now a fairly comfortable lead going into the second leg there through Tiago Polo to make it 3-0. And shortly off the back of that third goal, we are back down there in for another corner. They do deal with that one initially, but Valdemarsson lines one up, and what a strike that from the young homegrown talent. That is some goal. Curves that into the top right-hand corner. That is an absolute screamer from the young 19-year-old, and that will make it 4-0, and we are starting to put the foot down here late in this one. That is one hell of a strike. They gave him far too much space there outside the box. He makes the most of it and makes it 4-0. And inside the last minute of injury time in this one, it was looking a little bit dicey there at half-time at 0-0. It is fair to say, but thankfully some good bench impact there. We just kicked into gear a little bit more in that second half, picking up 4 goals, and we do win 4-0. So that's quite a nice, comfortable scoreline to be taking into the away leg. Maybe just missing the likes of Jonada up front. Adam Saki had an okay game, but might just be missing a little bit of firepower up there. Still a player who's getting used to how we do operate here at Volsungur, but that is a good performance, as I said, even if it did take a little while to get going. In that one, we take a 4-0 lead to the Czech Republic, and we'll come back shortly and hopefully finish off the job in the second leg of this third qualifying round tie. And here are the team sheets for the second leg. We have made a few changes yet. Again, just keeping some players fresh, making sure we're not playing them if they are on a heavy match load. So with that in mind, we do have Elias Anderson coming back at centre-back because he has recovered after missing that first leg. Andy Harwood will start for us at left-back in place of Kenny Boreal. Also, Karel Giroux will start in the midfield in place of Kalen Rakasan. That means we are going to be moving Lasana Doumbia into the Mazzala, and also Patrick Nygaard will start for us on right wing in place of Nicholas Zimmerman. But you might also notice that does mean we have a very strong bench for this one. We've got the likes of Fabio Mariano back, and Frederick Larsen has returned from Olympic duty as well. So he retakes his place on the bench. That's a good, strong Volsungur team who can hopefully see out this 4-0 lead that we did get in that first leg. And only 1 minute into this one, we do have our first highlight as we do look to play out from the back, and we do get that out to Ian Carlo. Can we open the scoring nice and early and get a 5-goal advantage on aggregate? But a good slide tackle there from one of the Sparta Prague defenders, albeit they clear it straight into the path of one of our players, and Patrick Nygaard gets brought down right inside the edge of the box, and that will be a penalty in our favour. Not too sure who's going to be taking this one. Indeed, it is actually Adam Saki, and he grabs his first Champions League goal. It was not the greatest penalty, it is fair to say, but he still just does enough there to get that beyond the goalkeeper, and after only 2 minutes, we now do have a 5-goal lead on aggregate. And we go forward a few more minutes to the 6-minute mark. It is a throw-in here for Sparta Prague. They will need a big comeback to try and keep themselves in Champions League qualifying this season, but they do work this one inside the box, and they square that there for Karabek, and that is one heck of a hit on the volley, and Sparta Prague do grab an equaliser here on the day 1-1 and make it 5-1 on aggregate. Hopefully, we still have a big enough lead here to hold on to, but some good play there from our Czech opposition. Nice strike from Karabek to make it 1-1 after only 6 minutes. And just shy of the 9-minute mark, we are about to have a free kick here on our left-hand side. We'll see who is standing over this one. It might be Patrick Nygaard. In fact, it's Chaka Traore. Gets a lot of help there from the underside of the crossbar, but that is a wonderful free kick, and that gives us our lead back on the day 2-1 and re-establishes our 5-goal advantage overall in this tie. Great free kick there to put that into the top left corner. And immediately off the back of that free kick goal, we have yet another highlights. Lots of action happening here inside the first 10 minutes of this away leg. Sparta Prague yet again looking for an equaliser, but that's good work there from Ali Ramadan to break things up. And maybe this is going to be a highlight in our favour as Adam Saki plays that one out to Chaka Traore, puts that back in the box there for Giroud. Some good short passing. Chaka Traore will curve that into the top right corner. He's in some very good form early doors in this one, and he builds up a 3-1 lead for us on the day, 7-1 overall now, and surely that is going to be enough to make our way through to a Champions Path playoff here. Good short passing after we did get the interception through Ali Ramadan, and a quick fire double to Chaka Traore to make it 3-1. And only a few minutes off the back of that third goal, we have yet another highlight. Still lots going on here in the early stages of the second leg, even if it's pretty much game over at this point. But a nice ball over the top there for Karel Giroud, but that's a good save there, keeping it out at his near post from the Sparta Prague goalkeeper. But we'll wait and see if anything does come from the subsequent corner, which Lassana Doumbia will put into the mixer. Basaro Gay. It then falls to Giroud somehow. Neither of them put that in the back of the net. Still 3-1. Approaching the 15-minute mark. And a little bit of a break since that opening flurry of highlights, but now at the 29-minute mark, that's a great chance there for Ali Ramadan to put that in off that corner, but a good save there from the Sparta Prague goalkeeper. We somehow don't put that in the back of the net yet again from set piece, and it remains 3-1, just shy of the half-hour mark, but yet again, another corner here. Lassana Doumbia tries to pick out Ramadan there this time. Can't quite link up, but we are still on the attack. Basaro tries to put that top right corner, comes off the upright, very reminiscent there of the goal he scored against Bayern Munich in last year's Champions League, but it's still 3-1. And that is half-time in the second leg. We are now in a very, very comfortable position. We did concede an early equaliser in that first half after the penalty to Adam Saki, but off the back of that, a quick fire double to Chaka Traore means that we are 3-1 up at half-time, 7-1 up on aggregate with only 45 minutes left. And up to the 64-minute mark for our next highlight. We have a few so far in the second half, but nothing too threatening. So this might be the first one that I'll show you guys from the second half, with the scoreline still at 3-1, and we are on the attack. Chaka Traore in search of a hat-trick. Good little shot there from Adam Saki, but can't quite get that past Vuntik in goal for Sparta Prague. They pump this deep. They do win that header as well, and the Kufal is in on goal here for Sparta Prague. That's a really good save that from Hurlovik, and that will keep it at 3-1 at the 65-minute mark, although Sparta Prague are still on the attack. They get out to Breda on their left-hand side, and we'll see if anything else does come from this highlight as they do knock it about inside our final third. Nice ball out there to Fusek. He puts that back in for Sadkovic, and we'll just see if anything does come from the rest of this highlight. Unfortunately, nothing else, and it does remain 3-1 with just over 20 minutes left, and we are going to make our first substitutions at this stage as well, with Lassana Doumbia picking up a yellow card. We will bring on Fabio Mariano for him, and I think that might do with 23 minutes left, still with a 3-1 lead on the day. And only a few minutes off the back of that first substitution, we are back down the Sparta Prague end here as they do have a throw, but good work there from Andy Harwood coming in today for Kenny Boreal. But as he showed last season when he was injured in those games against Bayern Munich in the Champions League quarters, he is a very able backup, gets us possession back there, and there's a chance here for Adam Saki to put that in the bottom left corner, and he will. He is starting to find some gear here in the second leg after being a little bit iffy in that first one. He's taken his chances today and makes it 4-1 on the day, 8-1 on aggregate with only 20 minutes left. It's safe to say we are making our way through now to another Champions Path playoff, and hopefully we can get through that as well and make our way through to the group stages, up 8-1 with 20 minutes left. And only a few minutes off the back of that fourth goal, we do have another highlight here, starting with a goal kick to Sparta Prague. They pump that deep, but that's a little bit poor there from Ali Ramadan. Koska gets a chance and will grab a goal back immediately for Sparta Prague. That's pretty poor there from Ali Ramadan, the best centre-back at the club, I think it is fair to say, with his star rating and attributes, but somehow just gets completely outdone there by the flight of the ball or something. Ends up being a one-on-one there for Koska. He takes it. It's 4-2 on the day with 18 minutes left. And up to the 74-minute mark, we are going to make our second substitution with Patrick Nygaard down to a red heart. Frederick Larsen back from Olympic duty can get some game time in these last 16 minutes. And we make our way forward now to the 78-minute mark, and yet again we are in possession, albeit this time looking to play out from the back. Elias Anderson squares that over for Bassaroge, and now Karel Giroud having a decent game there in the box-to-box midfield, and we play a nice ball over there for Chaka Traore, and he will complete a great hat-trick here and put us up 5-2 on the day, 9-2 on aggregate, and in the end, this has been a very, very comprehensive performance, yet again getting quite similar to the scoreline that we did pick up against Cluj in yesterday's episode. A nice long ball forward there to Chaka, puts that top right corner to complete his hat-trick, and we'll also make our last substitution at this time as well. There's a few players there on red heart, so I think Stamatas Chatsakis might be the player in most need of game time here. He can come on for Andy Harwood for these last 11 minutes. And very shortly off the back of that last substitution and fifth goal, we have a throw-in here inside the final third. Ian Carlo will try and hoof that in for Adam Saki, but gets that ball immediately back, and now Frederick Larsson will unleash his shot, and he's back from Olympic duty with a goal. Curves that wonderfully into that left-hand corner, quite similar to the goal that Lasana Doumbia did score in that first league, and it is now 6-2 with 10 minutes left on the day, 10-2 on aggregate, and in the end, this has been a pretty big thumping, especially in this away league. Even though we've given up a few soft goals, we make it 6-2 on the day with 9 minutes left. And that is full time in the second leg and in this third qualifying round tie. We had a pointless highlight there at the end, and in the end, we picked up, as I said, just when we did score that final 6th goal, a very comfortable 6-2 win there away from home. We go through 10-2 on aggregate. That is largely thanks in the second leg to a hat-trick from Chaka Traore. He is doing great work for us there out on the left wing, and we quite comfortably make our way through to a Champions League playoff. We'll come back shortly, unveil who we've got in tomorrow's episode, as well as check in on how the Icelandic teams got on down in the Conference League qualifiers. And here are all the results from that Champions League third qualifying round. And the main one you guys need to keep an eye out on for tomorrow's episode is the one between Olympiacos and that Russian team. We'll try not to give them too much airtime of what's going on in the world these days, but the Russian team did beat Olympiacos there, so tomorrow we are going to be taking on Lokomotiv Moscow in a Champions League playoff. A quick look at their reputation. They are a 4-star reputation club, so yet again, a little bit of a step up from what we did take on there in Sparta Prague. But while on the subject of reputation, finally, we do have an increase here at Volsungur. It's gone up from 3 stars to 3.5 stars. That has been well and truly overdue. We were sitting on 3 stars there, despite the fact that we did make both the finals of the Conference League a few seasons ago and the Europa League, but it does look like it took that run to the semi-finals of the Champions League last year to increase that reputation, and hopefully that might attract some better players here to Volsungur. But that's what things do look like for tomorrow's episode, taking on Lokomotiv Moscow in a Champions League playoff. I would like to think would still be quite heavy favourites for that one, even though we are technically a lower reputation club. And down in the Conference League, things unfortunately didn't go quite as well for the Icelandic teams. If we make our way over to the screen, which is just a little bit clearer for you guys to see, you will be able to see that unfortunately both of the Icelandic teams are out of the running. Breidablik lost very narrowly 2-1 to Slovan Bratislava, despite winning the second leg there 1-0. So just a narrow loss there for Breidablik. That's quite a good effort from those guys in their first taste of European football for a little while. But we make our way down a bit further, and HK actually got beaten quite comprehensively 4-2 there on aggregate. So unfortunately, they are yet again not able to do too much there down in Conference League qualifying. That's probably a little bit more disappointing than what happened to those guys last season, because this time they've been taken out by a team they probably should have been beating when you consider they made the group stages of the Champions League only 2 years ago. So unfortunately, in tomorrow's episode, we are the only team left for Iceland, but we are at least guaranteed to be in the group stage of a European competition, and we need it to be the Champions League really at this stage of the save after making the semi-finals of that competition last season. So tomorrow we'll come back, take on Lokomotiv Moscow. Something else to keep an eye out on is that we have put a bid in for the next gem winner from this past season, and that was Cruz Zamorano out of Tigres, the Mexican right winger. I know that we just sold a right winger in yesterday's episode because we had too much depth there, but Cruz Zamorano does look like a really promising prospect, and we do have the money. We still had 9 million off the back of all those sales that we did make in this past transfer window. It's a little bit early to be going for a player like this, I know, because he wouldn't be able to join us until February next year, but Nice went in with an offer of 7.25 million, which did trigger his release clause, so I thought we'd also go in with that offer. He's actually no better than what we've already got there in Nicholas Zimmerman but he does look pretty good. Has a lot more potential as well, so he could be quite a good, useful option for us in the future, albeit there's a slight concern there that he does take up a foreign spot, so that might make things a little bit more difficult in terms of domestic football, but he would be a great addition to our Champions League squad if we could find a way to fit him in. And seeing as we did have that money left over from all those sales that we did make in yesterday's episode, we've put an offer in for him, which hopefully he is going to accept over Nice. He did say he would prefer to join us over Nice with our Champions League football, so hopefully Cruz Zamorano might be joining us early on next season, even though it does look like a little bit of a funny transfer. As I was saying yesterday, we got rid of Blagojevst Ognjenov because we had too many players at right wing. This guy just has so much potential. I did feel that it might be a bit of a case of the one that got away if we didn't try and sign him when we did have the money available to us. We'll keep you updated on what does happen with that deal over the next few episodes, depending on how long it does take to hopefully wrap that one up. But that will do it for today's episode. We are through to another Champions League playoff, taking on a Russian team in tomorrow's episode, and we'll show you guys both legs of that with no games in between now and that first leg. Maybe we'll have a few players who do recover from their injuries in time for that as well. But if you did enjoy today's episode, that win there over Sparta Prague, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow for the Champions League playoff and hopefully Champions League group stage draw as well, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.